glorify your name, mighty God. Glorify your name in our hearts, in our lives, and in this place, and around the world. Oh God, glorify your name. May our heart be set on you. Not about ourselves, but about you. May thy desire be to please you, to fulfill your will. Not mine, not my desires, but your will. Give us hearts that desire to fulfill your will for our lives. That we may be instruments in your hand. Whether it to be your feet, your hands, your mouthpiece. Lord, lead us and guide us. Even this morning, guide us. Fill us afresh and anew. May the spirit of praise arise. May the spirit of praise arise to a higher place of praise. A higher place. Nearer, Lord, nearer to your heart. Nearer, Lord, closer, closer. Look to you. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. I was blind, but now I see.
In one of Jesus' parables that we've mentioned many times, of the sower, of the seed, parable of the seed, he taught, and this was in Matthew 13, that there was God's children and the children of the devil, God's enemy. And he said in Matthew 13:38, the field is the world, the good seed are the children of the kingdom. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world. The reapers are the angels. And the tares will be gathered and burned in the fire, and so shall it be at the end of this world. You would think it would be easy for us to know who are the tares, who are the wheat, who are the good, who are the bad, who are the godly, and who are the wicked. God's good seed, the children of the kingdom, of his kingdom. So the children of his kingdom, the bride of Christ, must be the most beautiful of people. The noble, the princes, the kings, the perfect, the good, the compassionate, the philanthropists that give, the intelligent, the wise, to be the bride of the highest of all, most exalted Son of the great Jehovah, his bride. Certainly I don't feel I will be a part of that one. Oh, yes, I can understand some of the saints of times past. St. Francis of Assisi that sold all he had and took the poverty vows. And it said he even chatted with the birds, and they lit on his head and his hands. Oh, yes, I can understand. Those that gave their life were crucified and did not deny him. Oh, yes, what a beautiful bride he must have. Sometimes I think, well, I wonder what little shack I'll have at the end, the dead-end street between paradise and the gates of hell somewhere. Because certainly I don't feel like worthy to be standing there as they celebrate the table of the wedding of the great King. But you know, if we try to choose, we would be probably very mistaken. Paul said, 1 Corinthians 1:26, for you see your calling, brothers, how that there's not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called, or even called. But God has chosen, verse 27, the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. God has chosen the weak things of the world. I'm sorry, it's just a twitch I have. To confound the things which are mighty, the base things, get down there, of the world. The things which are just kicked down. Here, let me tie it up back. The wise. God has chosen the weak things of the world to confound those that are mighty. And the base things of the world, and the things which are despised have God chosen, the things which are not, to bring to nothing the things which are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. Why? Why does he so love sinners? What is it in sinners that draw him to them? The lost, the worst. Why would he abandon 99 beautiful sheep and go out in the middle of the night in the storm to find one rebellious one that wanders, one that goes astray, one that doesn't know when to come home when the sun is going down? Why would he leave the 99? They say, you want that? Well, go for it. No. He goes out in the rain and the storm. He said, to find that little rebellious one. And probably if he leaves the door open, he'll be running out again. I don't know. Why? Why does he even care about sinners when there's so many nice people? Maybe because they're the fallen. They're the prodigals of God's children. Maybe we have it all backwards of who the good seed is and who the bad seed is. Maybe the bad seed is what we call bad, is his seed. The prodigals, the children of God that were once made in his image and were perfect good, wise, but made a bad choice to disobey, to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and to contaminate themselves and all their progeny, their descendants, with sin, so that we are now born in sin. The church. He so loved because he gave his life for the church, but not for the church of those that are worthy. Jesus said it very clearly in Luke chapter 5 and verse 32, I have not come to call the righteous. There was a lot of righteous in the temple in the day that Jesus came. A lot of people that were wise in the knowledge of the scriptures, the knowledge of God, and the knowledge of how to pray, who kept the commandments. Surely they were called. And yet when Jesus came seeking out for a bride, he said, I have not come to call the righteous, but to call sinners to repentance. Most men, when they seek for a bride, they look for the most beautiful candidate they might find, the most capable, the most kind, the one with the best inheritance, the best pedigree, the best DNA. That's what Jacob did when he was choosing a wife. He fell for Rachel's beauty and not the cow, her sister, as they called her, the cow. He despised Leah, whose name means cow, because of dull eyes or sad eyes or weak eyes. We don't know exactly why they called her cow eyes. No, he looked at the cow and said, yeah. He looked at Rachel. Oh, Rachel, immediately. Rachel, you know what Rachel means? A ewe. E-W-E, a female sheep. Wow. And as a shepherd, they would rather have 50 ewes and one ram. One ram is enough for 50 ewes, so that you can have as many sheep as you want and have a herd. He would rather have 50 ewes than 50 rams and one ewe. He'd never have a herd then. So, why? Why would Jesus choose the ugly ones as the bride and not the beautiful ones? Could it be that the wheat is not as beautiful as the tares? Could it be that the wheat are the ugly ones? The poor ones, the sinners, the imperfect ones, the twisted ones, the rebellious ones, the uncaring ones, the sinner ones? Could it be that the tares are the beautiful ones, the good ones, the strong ones, the mighty ones, the intelligent, the perfect? But yet, Jesus said they are the seed of the devil. In Ezekiel 28, it describes Satan very perfectly. It says in verse 15, you were perfect in your ways from the day you were created. Oh, that's the devil. So what would his seed be like? In verse 3 of Ezekiel 28, it describes him, behold, you are wiser than Daniel could ever be. There is no secret that can hide from you. Highly intelligent, highly wise. Verse 4, with your wisdom, with your understanding, you get for yourself riches. You've gotten gold and silver into your treasures because of your understanding. Oh, yes. Verse 5, by your great wisdom and by your traffic you have increased in riches, and your heart is lifted up because of your riches. Verse 13, you were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering. You glittered with jewels. The workmanship of your tabrets as an instrument, of your pipes were prepared in you in the day that you were created. He is a music master, a maestro. Music, the king of music, was created in him. Oh, he's not tone deaf. Oh, his children sing beautifully. Verse 14, you are the anointed cherub that covers. You were on the holy mountain of God. You even walked up and down in the middle of the stones of fire. You were perfect in your ways until iniquity was found in you. Isaiah 14 describes him this way in verse 12 from God. Thou hast fallen from the heavens, O shining one, son of the dawn. Oh, the shiny one, the shining one. But not because he's a light. God is light. Satan is only shiny. In the dawn, before the light comes up, he's shiny. And everything he does and offers, it's shiny. Sin is shiny, attractive, alluring. He is the shiny one. He can even appear, Paul said, as an angel of light to enlighten you with his doctrine, to enlighten you with error. Yes, the shiny one. The shiny one that attracts the multitudes to his concerts, to his music, to his wisdom, to his greatness, to his intelligence. Yes, the tares are the sons of the shining one. And as their father, the devil, they shine in the world. Wheat are the dark ones, the black ones, the sinners that have received mercy, who have fallen, who are lost. And the sun has shined upon the darkness. Yes, the tares don't need the light because they are shiny. They know it all. Yes, Paul said, not many mighty, not many noble are called. But he didn't say none. There are some. Why? Because some were like Saul of Tarsus. He was noble. He was mighty among the Jews. Being of the Sanhedrin, he was powerful. The disciples feared him and thought, when he came persecuting the new followers of Jesus, Oh, how they quaked for his power and might and knowledge of every single jot and tittle of the Torah, of the law, of the prophets. He could quote them. He didn't need to read it. He knew the whole scriptures, backwards and forwards. Yes, he could quote to you, like certainly the devil can, and even his children. And the wheat sometimes can't even remember a verse. Yes, the Sauls of this world think they're above all the rest. The rest are ignorant. They are the inspired ones, the enlightened ones. In Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 3, it says, "The pride of your heart has deceived you, you that dwell in the heights of the rock, whose habitation is on high, and you say in your heart, who can bring me down to the ground? And though you exalt yourself as the eagle, and though you set your nest among the stars, from there I will bring you down, saith the Lord." Yes, Satan will always try to tempt the world, and especially us, with a shining tree of knowledge, of understanding of science. Will try to tempt us with a shining fruit that beckons to us to be part of the great, of the knowledgeable, and not of the ignorant. He will try to tempt us with riches, to be a part of the successful club, to get people to look up at the successful and see, these are the children of the devil. We are shining. We are in control. But then some of those that we would discard as they did Saul, as the worst of them all, suddenly a light from heaven shines upon them, and they fall off their high horse in disgrace, lose their hold, and become as despised blind. Yet, yes, he who knew it all, who read it all, who could see it all, became blind on the ground, crying out for mercy. Then God shined, not through his eyes that were blind now, but through the heart of Saul, into that inner darkness, and revealed that he was one of the exceptions that Paul said when he later wrote as Paul now, with his name changed. And he said, not all. There are a few. I made it. God's light shines into their inner darkness and reveals that they're actually one of God's seed. You know, who have fallen, perhaps not into sin or gross sin, but yes, into pride, which in God's eyes is one of the grossest of sins. Because that's the sin that casts down Satan from heaven. Pride. Haughtiness. Yes. How the mighty have fallen. You know, people can be the most intelligent and the most knowledgeable. And suddenly they become as nothing. A blood vessel can burst in the brain. Or you can get a stroke and suddenly your might is reduced to where you cannot walk. You cannot talk. Your beautiful smile now is a twisted smirk. Your intelligence is now cast down by dementia or Alzheimer's, and you become as a useless child. How have the mighty and rich fallen in a moment? Even the most powerful of men, like the President of the United States that stood before Russia and said, "Bring down this wall," to be remembered as a great president, and then dementia. Then the most powerful man on earth had to be hidden because he could not remember. Even our president now sometimes loses his words or thoughts in the middle of speeches. The most powerful man. Yes. The tares. What do we have that's ours? What do we have that we have not received? Everything. Everything. Paul, again writing to the Corinthians in his second letter, chapter 12 and verse 9. And he said unto me, God said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee. For my strength is made perfect in weakness. Here was one of the strongest and powerful men of Jerusalem. Somehow now he was weak, lost his power, lost his influence, shunned by the Christians and shunned by the Jews. There he was. But God said, Paul, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect when you're weak. Paul said then, most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my weaknesses, in my sicknesses, in my infirmities, so that the power of Christ might rest upon me. Yes. So then let the intelligent say, I am dumb. If not for his grace, I would not have the capacity. I would not have the ideas. I would not have the inspiration to write, the inspiration, the talent to paint. If not for him, I'd have nothing to say of value. So let the strong says, I'm weak. Because he is strong. Let the rich say, I'm poor. In one moment, in one depression, I can lose it all. So with what will I boast? What he gives me is what I have. But I have nothing to boast of. If not for his blessings, what would I have? I could lose it all in one transaction, in one fire, in one sickness, in one huge hospital bill. Yes. how quick we are to judge. Yes, this one's good, this one's bad. No, don't judge the weak. Because like 1 Corinthians, Paul said, 15:10, but by the grace of God, I am what I am. Yes, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom. By God's grace, by God's grace. Yes, they're not the best of the world. His bride is not the most pretty of the world. She's ugly in the world's eyes. That's why they despise them, persecute them, kill them. Because there's no room for the scum of the earth, for the poor that leech from the riches of the world. They have no right to live. And Jesus comes and says, the world is going to be yours. Blessed are the poor, for they shall inherit the kingdom. Yours is this world. No, it belongs to the riches, the powerful, the armies, those who have the sword. We have nothing. He says, no, you're wrong there. I have come for the poor, for the hungry, for those that are no good, for those that the world despises. No, don't try to be like the tares. Don't try. Not even in Halloween to dress up like a tare. No, he hasn't chosen the wise, the intelligent, the great, the scientist. But he has chosen scientists. He has chosen wise. He has chosen strong. He has chosen mighty. Oh, what a bride has he chosen. I'm almost ashamed for him to think that maybe I, by some strange lottery of heaven, would be a piece of the toenail of the beautiful bride. Oh, to even imagine it. Certainly I'm not worthy of it. Paul, incredible man. 1 Corinthians 9:27, I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest by any means, when I preach to others, I myself should be a castaway. What? He said, yes, you look at me as the great Paul who's been given all this revelation. But he says, me, I'm worried. Lest I, having preached to others, get haughty and pride, and say, I'm the leader, I'm the founder of Christianity here. I'm the one that came out with all these things you guys are preaching about. Lest I should become a castaway. And then he wrote in 1 Corinthians 10:11, let him that thinks he stands take heed lest he falls. Yes. We should never, never, never rise up our heads above our fellows and say, I'm holier, I pray better, I sing better, I'm more faithful, I tithe better. Oh no, let not the shine enter into your mind. Let not the shining one contaminate your thoughts. Let not the shine of the tares woo you towards the things of this world, the love of this world, the lust of the flesh, the riches of this world. Let not the shining contaminate you. And then he says, But there's no temptation taken to you, but such as is common with man. But God is faithful. God is faithful. He says, even if you're tempted, He won't allow you to be tempted beyond what you're able to resist. So you see, even when all inside of us wants to be like the tares and want to work like the tares and rise like the tares and be exalted like the tares, He intervenes. Remember, you're my ugly bride. You don't need makeup. No, you don't need to shine. You are my children, but I'm ugly. But you are my seed. And the bride will come from my seed that I have sown. And yes, there are a few that are mixed with the tares, but they're actually not tares. You might think they are because they look like they are. But don't worry. None that are my children will be lost. Oh yes, the tares, the mighty, the great, they'll be burned. But my bride, I will make her beautiful. I won't allow her to be tempted beyond what she's able to resist. But with the temptation will also make a way of escape, that you might be able to bear it. Jeremiah 9:23, thus saith the Lord, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches, but let him that glories glory in this, that he understands and he knows me, that I am God, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, saith the Lord. Yes, many people I've heard scoff. Many tares have spoken to me and scoffed at the church. Because look, you're the church, you represent Christ, and look how they are. They're weak. They're not strong. They can't control themselves. And they scoff at the church. Look how imperfect they are. And the only way I'm able to answer them, and have always answered them, was this way. They say, we're more beautiful. Why should we even be Christians? We're nicer people. We're philanthropists. We give. We have nice families. We're more beautiful than they are. They're stronger than they are. We're wiser. We're richer. And yes, it's true. I've said this many times. There's much nicer people outside of the church than in the church. A lot of people, very nice people, do very nice things. You might think, well, that's what a Christian should be, and yet they're not. And how do I answer it? I said, well, the church is not for saints. The church is for sinners. And yes, the church, his bride, is for sinners. They're taken from sinners. They're taken from the lost seed of the children that God planted in the beginning of this world. And when people criticize, that's what I say. The church is for sinners, of which I am their pastor, the worst of them all. That's who we are. But he had mercy and he saved us. And we're going to heaven by his grace because of his mercy, not because we're good, not because we're wise, not because we're talented, but because he loved the cow, the ugly one. Why? Because inside of us, there's that mystery that sometimes even we didn't know until we found out. That before the foundation of the world, when he sowed his seed of humanity on the earth, he chose with a name those that were his. He named me before the foundation of the world. He chose those that would be the bride of his son. David, the little shepherd boy that wrote Psalm 23. Oh, he was a scrawny guy. He was kind of feminine looking. His hair, his features were nice, not like a man grumpy, like that. He envied his brothers because his brothers had, they were all ripped. They had the six-pack. They were tall. They were strong. Yes, when God said, choose from the sons of Jesse, and he went there and opened up his cruse of oil, was about to pour it out over the one that was the most ripped of all and looked more like an ugly king that would scare the bejeebies out of the Philistines. And he was about to do it. God said, stop. Oh, it's not this one. Oh, it's the other one. Oh, yeah, he looks a little bit better. Stop. I don't look like man looks. Oh, how about this one? Nope. Well, how about this one? Nope. Well, there's no more kids. He says, I choose not like you choose through your eyes. You look at the shine. I don't look at the shine. I look at the heart. I look at the heart. And Samuel said, but there's no more sons. And Jesse said, yeah, I got one. I'm sort of ashamed of him. Well, bring him. Well, well, I'm not going to tell you, but where is he? He's taking care of the sheep, He likes to just sit there and stroll and sing like little songs and make poems and be pretty. Well, bring him in. And he brought him in, and Samuel's going to put away his cruse, and God said, this is the one. Yes, this is the one. Yes, David envied his brothers. And then in Psalm 23, he wrote, as for me, my feet were almost gone, and I almost slipped, for I was envious of the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. He saw that the wicked were rich and the nice people were poor. And then in verse 4 of Psalm 73, he describes those wicked ones, the seed of Satan, that people look up to as being, the best of the world. They're good, they're rich. Want to be like them. And he wrote and he says, for there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They're not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore pride compasses them about like a chain. Wow, chains of pride. Violence covers them as a garment. Their eyes stand out in fatness. And they have more than heart could ever wish. They are corrupt. They speak wickedly concerning oppression of the people. They speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walks through the earth. And they say, how does God know? Is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. You know, so many times when I've talked to those that are tares and did my best to convince them by my good works, tried to talk to them about what sin is, tried to make them understand, but you can't make someone believe. You can't make the shining one feel dark unless the Holy Spirit touches him. They don't believe, neither do they have any desire. They say, why do I need God? What do I need church for? I have all I need. They have no love of God, no love of Jesus, nor do they see themselves as needy. They say, I'm glad you're happy, but I don't need that to be happy. They don't have the light of God. They see themselves fulfilled and shiny because they are the children of the shining one. They're wise, intelligent, good businessmen. They're rich, have beautiful houses and things, and have need of nothing. They love the world, the riches, the pleasures, the best of food, the things. They have power, influence. They gather themselves with others that have power and influence to look down at the weak and the poor. They despise the poor and the needy. Control them, to use them as you would control cattle to use them. They give them food and a stable to use them to work in their fields as slaves. And because the poor are greater in number, they get harder to control, so they let them share a little bit of the riches. But they're not satisfied. They want more. So they must hide behind their knowledge and science and find other type of chains throughout history to bind and subject the population for a while. They control them with lies and deceits. And when that doesn't work, they use violence, soldiers, prison camps. And if war and violence does not work, then as now, they bind them with chains of technology to control them with surveillance. And if that they cannot do, they'll call out the soldiers, as they have throughout history. And if that's not enough, they'll release plagues and sicknesses or viruses and use fear to bring them into submission or dependence on their medicine to heal them. Yes. But Paul had it so clear, so clear. Amazing grace. The mystery of the bride that he has chosen. Yes, I can't say I'm proud of being a sinner, but I'm thankful that this sinner caught the attention of his heart. This sinner found amazing grace. Yes, there's so many, even in the natural church in the world, that are God's children. They go to church, they believe in Jesus. They've even given their lives and been baptized, but they've never received the light to know that there are sinners. See, that seems to be the knowledge of sin must come by his enlightenment in order that we might receive the forgiveness of sins. Because he came to save sinners. That's what Jesus said. There's so many that are good people. You point them, you're a sinner. No, I'm not. I haven't done these ugly things. Yes, you haven't. But that's not what sin is. Well, what is it then? I can't explain it, but when His light comes, and I've seen His light come, and oh, they cry out, have mercy on me. No, they did not steal, they did not rob, they did not do this, they did not. But the pride suddenly is seen as how God sees it. And when God shines the light, they become as the rest of the bride, the cows of this earth, the ugly ones of this earth, the sad eyes of this earth. The revelation comes, whether rich or poor, intelligent or dumb, those who are called, those who are His seed, they will all be saved. And yes, sometimes God even allows these nice people to slip and fall into sin for them to learn something, for them to understand something, to understand what it feels like to be a sinner. As a prodigal son, he looked like a shining one in the midst of his friends. Oh, yes. He with his riches. He was the owner of the party. And oh, did he shine. Everyone gathered around him. He was so funny. He was so intelligent. He was looked so shiny in the midst of sinner, but he really wasn't. And one day, God looked at that lost sheep, shining and happy in his life. And He caused him to lose the riches. He became dark. He was hungry. He needed work. He ended up in a pig pen, dirty, with the fecal matter of pigs. And he looked at himself. I used to be the best dressed. Look at me now. Look at me now. He began to think of his father's house. And he came to himself. And Jesus found him and brought him back to his home. Oh, may those that think they're not lost and belong to Him, may God cause them to fall and be lost, if that's what it takes. Now maybe someone, a dream is all it takes to waken them up. Others, just in a moment, light falls. And they come to understand that it's not of the mighty, it's not of the strong, it's not of the intelligent, it's not in how many master degrees you might have. All those things are just shiny, shiny objects from the father of the tares. Riches, shining pieces of glass that are worth nothing. How can it be? What potential does He see in the lost? Yes, He doesn't look as man looks. He doesn't choose as man chooses. And the best part is, even though many times I'm ashamed of myself for the thoughts I think, the things I might do, And yet, when I come before Him and look in shame to the floor, unworthiness, He says, lift your head, for He is the lifter of my head. My glory and the lifter of my head. Your eye is on everyone. Of the little seedlings, of the little plants, of the wheat that belong not with the tares, even though sometimes they get mixed among them and become almost like one of them. But your watchful eye never lose sight of your chosen ones, even when they're lost in the world. You know where they are, and you will always find them and save them, sometimes from themselves. Hosheana, save me every day as you do. Do you call me to glory, and I need not saving anymore? Because all the evil will be taken away from this body of sin. And you will present me without spot or wrinkle or any such thing. Do you know? Are you aware that you can never go far enough from Him where His presence cannot find you? That His eyesight cannot reach? Never. Don't ever even fear of failing Him. Even as Peter thought he'd never fail, and he did. But Jesus found him when he was back to his old fishing boat, having given up of his dream, given up his right to the king, the keys that he was given. Jesus went and found him. In the darkest of the night, when everything he did failed, he couldn't even catch a little minnow, the great fisherman. All night he had fish. So he was even frustrated that he couldn't even go back to what he was before. He couldn't reach what he had hoped for. He couldn't go back to what he was. And then he heard a voice in the breaking of the dawn. Did you catch anything? How can it be? I know that voice. I used to love that voice. No, I didn't. Here, let me help you. Try the other side. But I'm just fishing. I'm not a disciple anymore. That's all right. I'll help you. I'll help you even when you're running away. I'll bless you even though you try to run away. Hallelujah. Oh, hasn't He blessed you even when you were running away? Hasn't He helped you even when you didn't deserve help? Yes, let me help you run away, Peter. Try the other side. And he did. And he caught so much, the disciples said, look, we have enough to pay for a year's rent. He said, I don't care about the rent. He jumped into the water. Hey, but are you going to leave all this fish? I don't care. I don't need fish. And he went towards the voice of him that have never lost sight of his beloved. Be blessed, beloved of the Lord. May the Lord continue to bless you. May the Lord, as he has promised, always keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine daily upon you. May he never cease having mercy upon you, and may you never cease asking for mercy. And may he grant you, through every step of the way, till the light will shine of a new day. May every step you take be followed by peace. And may your heart never be troubled, little sparrow. God bless you. Go with God. Amen.